And now back to our marathon outback road trip. We have a singing dingo known as Dinky, the spectacle of Kata Juta, and camels galore. We've been exploring Australia's famous red rock, Uluru. Now our road trip will take us east and north to the central Australian city of Alice Springs. Dawn is the best time to take in Uluru's equally impressive neighbour, Kata Juta, or the Olgas, as the Europeans call them. Kata Juta is a group of large rock formations made up of 36 domes and is composed of a conglomerate, a sedimentary rock consisting of cobbles and boulders of varying rock types, including granite and basalt. The Aboriginal name, Kata Juta, means many heads, and the site is as sacred to the Indigenous people as Uluru. Driving east now, we're heading for Alice Springs, but what's that crossing up ahead? Camels. They're certainly not native to Australia, but since being imported to provide transport through inland Australia, they've made it their domain. One man who's made camels his domain is Neil Waters. And what a grand entrance! Neil is spurring his camel into a fearsome gallop, and he's promised more action shortly.
The camels are well adapted to the desert country. Probably the best thing that was ever introduced into Australia. You know, they're hard pushed to make an impact on the countryside unless there's an overabundance of camels around in one small area. They'll actually nuke the area. But if they have enough room to move around, then they're actually a bit better for the countryside than cattle and horses and sheep and goats and things, because they make no impact on the country when they walk through it. They don't have to drink water. They can get moisture from plants that they eat. Their whole body system is created around the fact that they can dehydrate themselves to a larger extent than any other animal and still be able to survive at the end of it. They estimate around about 500 to 700,000 wild camels in Australia, and that's increasing every year. Generally, they're just a placid animal, very social animal, but once again, they've all got their own individual personalities. There's some real characters amongst them. Bull camel can be a very aggressive animal, and that's where a lot of the bad stories for camels come from, is actually from the bull camel, because of the aggression. Yeah, if they want to have you, just watch your camera.
Hey. Jesus.
Come on, get lost. Walk up. Come on, walk up. Been dealing with them for over 20 years. I've had an encounter or two, but once bitten, twice shy. That's the whole thing about playing with camels, is if you can't learn from stupid mistakes, then you're probably going to get really hurt.
Neil runs some 70 camels on his property. They're fast runners, so he's switched to his motorbike to round them up today. Even with all that horsepower, he's hard-pressed to match the camel power. They're feisty creatures, these camels, and Neil wants to make sure he doesn't injure any of them. After all, some, the ones he's personally spent weeks training, command a price of up to $5,000. Even camels mustered like this from the wild will sell for $500, with a lucrative export market seeing camels exported each year to the Middle East and Africa. Camel meat is also on the menu in tourist destinations across Australia. For Neil Waters, these camels are not for the dinner plate, but instead will be used to carry tourists for rides that last anywhere between 10 minutes to 5 days. Neil and his wife Jane are camel lovers, and when an orphan baby camel arrives, there's some tender personal care. A calves bottle is used to hand feed this young camel for the first 9 months of its life. Right next door to Neil's camel ranch is Jim's place. Now, Jim Cottrell is also a big lover of outback wildlife. He's reared a dingo of some acclaim. He's even given it a name. Dinky the dingo has become a big star, with Jim's roadhouse plastered with clippings and memorabilia singing his praises. Singing is certainly Dinky's claim to fame, although today he has to be stirred from a nap to perform for us.
We're on. Come on. Up you come. Come on. Thank you.
Dinky's preferred place for performances is the not-so-grand piano.
Well, it's become something special, yes. A little puppy. And he was rescued. His mum and dad were poisoned about 8 years ago. The local station owner brought him in and said, Jim, you need a dingo. I had some kangaroos and emus over there in an enclosure. And so I said, OK, fair enough, we'll have one. I have had dingoes before, so I was familiar with their habits. But this one turned out to be very, very different. And 8 years ago, when I got Dinky, the girls were finishing their high school in Alice Springs, and they'd both started learning piano at an early age. And any time if we were in town, and Dinky and I were there, and the girls were home playing, he would just come up alongside and just give us a vocal rendition and start singing. And then he got to the point where if I left a chair nearby, he'd climb up on the chair and walk along the piano keys. And then by moving his feet around, he started to make a noise and sing along with it. We had to use our imagination somewhat to pick up a tune, but he's happy doing it, that's what counts.
Dinky the Dingo, a howling success in the Australian outback. When next we travel Oz, the spirit of Anzac. Australia's war heroes honoured at home and abroad. Our city slickers, the two Tims, go to school to learn to be a jackaroo.
Oh, look out, look out! Oh.
And our marathon road trip takes us to the snake wrangler of Alice Springs, nose to fang with a deadly king brown snake. And that is this episode of Travel Oz. I'm Grainger. Happy travels.